Hey, this is Nick, aka The Weiler here from DOG, Deadly Operative Grunts. And I'm gonna try something a little bit different today. This is a review, but it's not really a full review. It's a first impressions, but I didn't really need that much impression. We're here to talk about Agents of Mayhem. Agents of Mayhem is a game, and you can play it. And, well, that's about it. Honestly, I'm gonna be real with you. I didn't play that much of this game. Because I didn't want to. Because I didn't feel the need to. Because it was already, within the hour that I played it, so mind-numbingly boring. They build these characters up to be over the top and, memorable. But they fail altogether. Everything is supposed to be over the top, but then there's not really that much agency. I guess you could say that there's a lot of mayhem and no agency. You get it? I spent the next couple of days just looking over some of the other reviews. And for the most part, I kind of see a pattern. Everybody talks about how over the top it is and how none of the characters are very memorable. But then one thing kind of stands out to me. A lot of the reviews start talking about once you start unlocking more characters, it starts getting a little interesting. Here's where we're presented with the problem, for me at least, is that I don't believe that I should have to go in several hours of a game for it to start getting interesting. The 3 characters that you start off with are completely generic. The lady that you start off with, she has dual pistols. They sound like children's toys. The point is that I was just so uninterested. Then, on top of that, every enemy is just a bullet sponge. This was clearly made with an RPG in mind, but the problem is that most RPGs start you off a little slow. At first, enemies are really easy to kill, and then once you start getting to some of the later game stuff, they start becoming a little bit more bullet spongy. Or the minions are not very bullet spongy, but the bosses are super bullet spongy. But in this, I felt like immediately everybody was just a sponge waiting to suck up all my bullets. And this just made it so infuriating. I could go 2 entire clips of ammo just to take down one enemy. Now granted, it's kind of like Borderlands where if I shoot at their head, I get a critical, but then we get another problem. The AI in this is so stupid. They don't try to take cover. They don't try to move around. They will stand in one spot and be shot at. Kind of like this. And then we have the bosses. Here's a boss, and just by standing here, I get hit by none of the projectiles, but I can still hit him. And then the second boss wasn't that much better. It's just this big golem, and all he does is smash, smash, smash. And all I had to do is jump, jump, jump. It was very clear from the very beginning that this was just way too repetitive. There was not that much depth to it. And the only incentive for me to keep going is to unlock new characters, new abilities, and to drive around the world. But then I start to notice the world. And the world is not that realized. The draw distance is terrible. The graphics are ugly. I usually try not to judge a game by its visuals, but in this case, it really does look like a PlayStation 3 game. Things in the distance look like blocks. The draw distance might be further. I mean, I don't know technology, but in my opinion, everything just loses detail a couple of blocks away. And this is 2017. This is the PlayStation 4. This is not a PlayStation 3. I expect more out of my games. And that says a lot, because I love Borderlands 1, 2, and even the pre-sequel. I absolutely love Battleborn. I think it's very underrated, and it has a similar art style. However, I do feel like it's a lot more polished. The edges are a little bit curved, whereas here, I felt like everything was fuzzy. And I know it's not my TV because I have a really good TV. Now, in real life, I have ADD. I find it hard to focus on one thing at a time unless I'm really passionate about it. In video games, I'm really passionate about. So for me to just not really pay attention says something. And that kind of brings up a point about all the different reviews I see. Some people really didn't like it with a 4. Other people thought it was okay with a 7. And I really think it comes down to whether or not a person is willing to grind. And this game is extremely grindy. Just within the hour that I played it, I noticed that there were not 1, not 2, but 4 different type of items that I was picking up. This could only mean that I was obviously going to be using it as some type of, arbitrary currency. And so some stuff was going to be super rare and I would only pick it up every once in a while, and other stuff is like cash where I pick it up all the time. And that immediately was a red flag for me. I don't particularly like grinding. And if I do grind, I want it to be hidden. I don't want a game to be so blatantly obvious about its grinding. I don't want to know I'm grinding. I want to be having fun. And there are plenty of games out there that I'm having fun, but I'm still grinding. And that's okay. And this game is not fun. Stupid characters, both good and bad. Okay cutscenes, but I skipped every single one. Nothing about this game drew me in. I know I might be being a little harsh on this, but it's just my opinion. I can usually tell in a very short amount of time if I'm gonna like a game. Some people might say, oh, you have to give a game so and so hours. I believe that if you're not having fun within a very short amount of time, then the game designers didn't do a good job of making you feel invested. Even something like Gone Home, which could arguably be a very boring game, but what it does is draw you in immediately with the mystery, with the atmosphere. I found myself drawn to every note, drawn to each new room, and it didn't do anything. You don't do anything in the game, and somehow that was more interesting than shooting and exploding and skills. It's all about the presentation, and just because it's flashy and purple doesn't mean that it's a good looking game. So I think that's about it. It's not really a review, it's really just why I couldn't really play the game, why I can't really continue to play the game. I'd like to give it a really good chance, but I can just see that this is not the type of game for me. Well, that's about it. Have you guys played Agents of Mayhem? What other games have you played that you just could not get through and you gave up really soon? Let me know in the comments below. This is Nick from the Deadly Operative Grunts, and we're feeling squirrely. And I'm feeling squirrely. That it should probably be that one. Triple threat.